but there are different sectors that we want to check and find out what they think about the first 100 days of the government in power. This time around, we are focusing on agriculture. It's one key area that we need to talk about. If you don't talk about agriculture, it means you are not interested in the food you eat. You should know where it comes from and what the policies are to protect that sector, if not for anything at all, for your own sake. So today, I'm going to speak with two key people. We're going to speak with the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana and then Seed Traders Association of Ghana. Two key stakeholders on the assessment of what we can do to make the sector better, to invest more in the sector, and get the returns and the yield we want. Welcome.
Thank you.
First of all, let me start with the 100 days of the government. You are assessing per your sector. What do you think?
Martha, thank you, and then thank you for giving us the opportunity. You know, our season has just started. The rains are coming and we are preparing our lands to plant. If you ask me of 100 days since NPP government came to power, I would say it's too short to pronounce any judgment, because they came at a period when we were in a break, let me put it so, because from January to March, rains are not coming, we are not planting. It's a period we used to prepare to plant. But if I am to assess the signs that I'm seeing, I would say so far it's not too bad, though I cannot be emphatic.
You are being extremely cautious.
Yeah, I have to, because in the past we saw government allocation, especially to the agriculture sector, being fantastic. But when it comes to disbursement, it's a problem.
Okay.
So what we've seen in the 100 days is when the Ministry of Finance announced or read the budget. So we are looking at what has been the allocation for the agriculture sector. The allocation for the agriculture sector, when the budget was read, has increased over the previous years of over 450 million Ghana cedis. Okay. And out of that, 420 is going to support fertilizer subsidy and mechanization. Okay. So that represents about 93% of total budget that is going to fertilizer subsidy and mechanization alone. So if you are somebody who advocates for input subsidy, then you are likely to say that is good. Another area that they also announced, and we are all aware, is planting for food and jobs. And in this area, they are looking at supporting input subsidy, that is seed and fertilizer, and then extension services.
Yes.
Though it's a fantastic program that will welcome it, but we have difficulties.
I know you have difficulties, so you have challenges.
So
yes.
I'll still say that the 100 days, at least they made a good pronouncement.
Okay.
But I cannot conclude that it's an achievement, because as a project manager, we call those things inputs. Okay. So you have the inputs, and then the input will now yield a result. So it will not be right.
So I understand you want to wait and measure by the results of whatever will come out of this.
We don't want to make our measurement based on input, because the input can either bring positive results or negative results.
Exactly. And Ifia Owusu Nyantechi is executive member of the Seed Traders Association of Ghana. Welcome to you too. Do you care assessing the 100 days? What have you seen?
Yes, a little bit on that. I think, being an agriculture person, and in my sector, of course, that's where I will speak to, I think we are excited. Okay. Because the policies that have been read out so far, and with the flagship of the NPP agricultural policy, it looks exciting and it looks promising. Okay. And so I think, yes, we can't assess, we can't put some figures there yet, because the season is about to start. But at least the preparation so far and what we are hearing, if it's anything to go by, then we are happy and hopeful. And so, yes.
That the investment will turn around and we will see
exactly
some positive results. Exactly. So now let's talk, since in a matter of hours, on Wednesday, the government will launch the Planting for Food and Jobs at Goso in the Bonafo region. Let's talk about that. That idea seemed a very good idea. We have started this at a time I think we need to protect what we eat and get more people to go into that sector. You have listened to the government talk about it, tout what this is going to do. What are your initial comments about the Planting for Food and Jobs, Charles?
Okay, thank you. I think I'm not still different from my earlier position. Planting for Food and Jobs is a fantastic program if you're able to implement it well. So launching it in Goso, which happened to be middle belt of Ghana and the food basket of Ghana, I think it's a good thing. The program itself is good. There are 3 key components in that program that we are looking at. We are aware of the problem with extension services. Our research we did in 2018 shows that we have 1 extension officer providing service to 3,000 farmers, which is a very wide gap. So MPP government promised to bridge that gap, and in their manifesto they promised to bring it down from 1 extension officer to 3,000 farmers to 1 extension officer to 500 farmers. So that is good, and it's also captured in Planting for Food and Jobs. They also...
But on that one, yesterday or on Monday, when we organized a program to commemorate the 100 days in office of the government, the Vice President actually mentioned that 1,400 extension officers are going to be engaged, or they are in the process. They have been trained, they are going to be absorbed so they can help with this system. Have you heard about that?
I have heard about it, and just like I said the intentions are good. There's difference between intentions and actual application.
But they said they are going to do it. And 1,400 he mentioned are already being engaged.
Where are they coming from? That is the question. If they are doing it, look, we continue to provide recommendations on how government will address farmer extension ratio gap. And we are saying that, look, when you go to most of the district assemblies, you have a lot of extension officers who are there. They are not able to reach out to farmers. What are the problems? They are lacking basic facilities like motorbikes to be able to reach out to the farmers. Those who have motorbikes don't have fuel to fuel those motorbikes to visit farmers. They don't have access to internet facility, laptops, and other things. What are we doing with those people? There are people who completed agri-training colleges and they place embargo on recruitment. Have we lifted the embargo?
That's what he said.
Happy. No.
He said they have lifted. That's why they are engaging 1,400.
And we are all aware is that they are going to engage national service personnel. And those service personnel will be trained by the district agri offices. So that they will go there. I have serious problem with that.
So your point is they are not engaging the already trained
in the first place, look at
officers.
What we have in the system. The old extension officers who are there, they have nothing to do because of lack of logistics. They have the knowledge.
Because they are not equipped.
They are not equipped. So let's try to equip them, and now we will now bring more on board to fill in the gap. But you can't go and bring those who have no knowledge in the area. You are going to use just 1 month to train them to go and provide service to farmers.
Is that the case? Do you have evidence to show
that's the case?
That is the case.
I have spoken. I just returned from Kintampo, and I have a lot of extension officers who were looking for us to support them, so that they will be able to do these facilities. And they themselves also said they heard that government is recruiting people, and those people will come under them so that they will train them. And the point I'm making is that a farmer who is engaged in agriculture business for several years, these people will go there. The farmers would rather school them, because these people lack the capacity, they lack the experience to do that. So if we want to do that, the first point of call is the existing one. We empower them, build their capacity, equip them. Now we will attach these people to them so that they will start working. For a year or 2 time, they would have gained experience. Then you will send them there. But if you just send them first, you say they should go and train farmers. At the end of the day, they will provide information that farmers are compelled to take. But that information might not necessarily be needed.
So you think we have started on a wrong note with the engagement of the extension officers?
On that score, we completely disagree with the approach. We need extension officers, but the approach is wrong. The second one is that the project beneficiaries, those that they are targeting to benefit from the project, we have serious problem with it. The project is saying that for you to be a beneficiary of Planting for Food and Jobs, you must have 5 acres or more.
Is this on record?
It's on record. It was said by the minister himself. I cannot sit here and lie for him. You understand? So, if you are saying that you are targeting farmers with 5 acres and above, majority of farmers, over 80%, who provide for the agriculture sector, have less than 5 acres, especially the women. So, are we leaving all these people out?
Were you asked, did you make any input on that? Why we should have the acreage Less than 5?
That is the problem. The problem is that they sit in the office and design the program.
I thought you were engaged in this.
The point is that's the point I'm making. They are launching Planting for Food and Jobs. We are never invited. Key stakeholders like us, who have majority of farmers on the ground there, are not invited. And it's not only us. There are other farmer associations who have not been invited. So who are those who are making the program for? So if they were to consult us, we would have at least suggested to them that, look, you have over 80% of farmer population, those who need these services, having less than 5 acres, especially the women. Are we leaving those people out? So I would have expected that we should rather see that the beneficiaries should be those who have less than 5 acres. Those who are going to plant less than 5 acres, not more than 5 acres. Because those who are planting more than 5 acres, already their capacity have been built. They have the resources to be able to purchase these facilities. So they don't really need the support that much. So there will be another way of supporting them. So that's another area. Issue of land preparation is completely missing. And we know the problem most farmers face.
Before you go to the land preparation, do you know if the registration for the farmers who are going to benefit on this program is closed or is almost closing?
What is done is that the registration is done at the district level.
Yes.
The MOFA directorate at the district level register the farmers. They submit the names to the crop directorate at the national level. They go back. Currently, they engage Isoko, who will go back, work with the MOFA directorate, and then they will visit the farmers, go to their farms, take the measurement of their acreages and their biometric data. Then they capture them in. But the input supply hasn't started yet. Okay.
Before we continue, I'd like us to talk about the fertilizer distribution also, which has been slashed by 50%. If your initial thoughts, I think Charles is so disappointed in some areas. I don't know what you think about that.
Thank you very much, Martha. I think with every new program, there's bound to be some challenges. But I think it's a step in the right direction that all Ghanaians should be up and doing. I call it a clarion call, and that I think we should all come together and make sure this program becomes a success. Yes, there are challenges, but I believe a lot of us were consulted. There was a committee that was put together, they call strategic group. I think PFAG happened to be a member. And so those were the stages where some of these issues should have been brought out.
Yes.
That's what I think. Beyond that, I also believe farmers were existing before the NPP government came. They are only trying to address some of the challenges. And so by rolling out this program to cater for, or to cater to, like say 5 acres per holder or all of that, they were looking at an increase in whatever was existing already because of the subsidy that was being rolled out. So that's about that. With the extension problem or program that we are talking about, for a longish while now, there's not been any extension recruitment at all. And the ratio that Charles rolled out,
1 to 3,000.
1 to 3,000, that has been the issue. Aside of the inadequate human resource, there is also inadequate logistical resource. And so, yes, I know they will be equipping them as well, but we need to increase the human resource base. And especially with our students from the tertiaries, like the agricultural students, the university students, most of them are agronomists, but this job embargo has sort of curtailed all their movement, and they are going about looking for the non-existent white-collar jobs. So I think for the first quarter, if they've been able to rope in over 1,400 farmers, we should encourage them and continue to make the needed inputs as and when we go. That is what I believe. We can't always take the attitude of just sitting back and saying, let them do it and let's see. No, I don't think it's positive enough. We all have been in this sector. Some of us have been there for well over 2 decades now, or almost. And we've known these challenges day to day. The farmers had gone through all sorts of challenges and difficulties. But at least with these new extension slot on board, I believe there is so much that can be rolled out, especially starting with the southern sector, who are privileged to have 2 seasons per year. By the time we reach the northern sector, I believe a lot of experience would have been gained, and then it will roll off. Granted, there's still a lot of challenges because my difficulty has been the consideration of the value chain approach, which means the market, the processing bit, the pre-processing, even the packaging and all of those. So that's where I sit, that's where I come from, because I think there was something like that with the buffer stock program. But this, we have different categories of, or different varieties of crops that we are expected to do. My question is, are we well prepared, especially at the post-harvest level? The stocks, the storage, the warehousing, the marketing. And this is where I believe we all need to continue to input and see where we can go from here.
But so far, do you know the plan? Do you have any idea what the plan is from harvesting down?
That's what we are. I know there's been some verbal promises that there's some markets out there somewhere. I can't put a figure on it. But then I believe, for instance, with processing and storage and all of that, it's still challenging. And so I would have loved that this year would have been a pilot and would have been scaled up as we go. That is what I think. But I also are very conservative in total condemnation. No, I don't believe in that. At any given opportunity, I think all the actors along the value chain should see how best we can let this thing work and be successful. Because I think the government, we have the goodwill of the government. But there are a lot more issues that we can also talk about regarding the taxation on inputs. Because hitherto, it was not there. But it looks like it's been sneaked in here, and then importers are having to bear that harsh taxation, which didn't used to be. And that will inadvertently go to affect the farmer, because a businessman will always almost push it down the final consumer. So that's where
to make his money.
Exactly.
But let's talk about your role in this whole planting for food and jobs. What is a seed trader's role?
Yes, we still play a very key role. And so for that matter, when the policy was rolled out, or when it was heard and the advertisement came into the newspapers, local seed producers immediately rushed to have a negotiation, a dialogue with the ministry, and were given the needed audience. And as we sit, I'm happy to say that the local seed producers have been given the opportunity to supply certain amount of seed volumes, and that is that's good. It's a good thing in the right way. But still, we couldn't even meet the quantities that was needed.
Really?
Yes. So we are still believing that they are still going to import some more. But at least it's a good start.
So you have a percentage that you will...
Yeah. In fact, what we were given to supply, we couldn't even meet it. We didn't have that much.
Are you under-resourced, or you don't have the capacity to produce more seeds?
Seeds, and that is, again, another challenge. It's very difficult to get up and say, I need so much quantity of seed within a month. It doesn't work like that. It still goes through the growing process. It goes through the processes, drying and all of that to get it to the right moisture levels and all of that. And so, therefore, what we have currently is the leftover stock from last minor season. And our brothers up north only have even one season. So they still have some stocks which they couldn't sell, but it's still very viable. So that is what we're able to mobilize to even, because it's a bit of a rush. And going forward, that is the advice we are trying to communicate to the ministry, that, look, we should know the forecast and to be able to plan properly and to meet the specs. Other than that, we can be sitting here and then imports will be brought in, and that has its own attendant problems regards diseases infestation and all of that. So this is another, the flip side of it.
So looking into the future, you are preparing to be able to meet the demand.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Charles, let's talk about the fertilizer for farmers.
Yeah. Yes.
50% of. You want to say something before you move on?
Yeah,
to that one?
just right. I agree with Madam Ifeanyi. I think we are speaking the same language. The program, when I started, I said it's fantastic. I agree with the things they want to do. My problem has to do with the approach. That's where we have problem. And then we think that they need to do more assessment and do more consultation. So at the end of the day, all stakeholders will see themselves being part of it than to just sit on the fence and observe. Yeah, on fertilizer as part of Planting for Food and Jobs and the fertilizer subsidy program in general, I think it has been announced. The minister launched, and then we all heard the prices. It has been sliced to 50%.
Yes.
And if you take MPK, that's the compound fertilizer, we are paying 57 Ghana cedis as against last year, 85 or 89 Ghana cedis last year. So that is good. You know, when the...
Before you go on, the price of fertilizer, does it matter where you are in the country, or because you mentioned 85 inches, it's flat. It's flat, yeah, wherever you find yourself.
Yeah, because that's why it's supposed to be. Because the subsidy is to the importers who will give to their distributors. So if you sell any quantity, then later on you submit your document for refund.
Reimbursement.
But still, I still have an issue. I have some discussion with some of the fertilizer importers, and they have challenges. Because last year, subsidized fertilizer hasn't been paid yet. So it means they have to search for their own funds to import for this year. And we all know interest rates and other things. If they are to go to bank to take loan, it will delay. I returned from Brown Hartford last week. We are preparing our farms. Farms are ready, but fertilizer is not available because government have not concluded with a contract with the importers.
So we are not on time with the distribution.
We are not on time. For the timing, we are very, very poor. So if you look at the fertilizer subsidy program, I want to give some small history. When we started in 2009, the subsidy was 51%. And then the following year, it came down to 30%. It continued reducing until last year when we came down to 21%. Now, this year, it went back again. And it so happened that it was during MPP government time that it started with the 51, and they came back and brought it back to 50%. So that's fantastic. Now, the 51% in 2008, 2009 came with its own challenges because the smuggling was so massive that most farmers who were to benefit from the program didn't benefit fully. So we are seeing that the same thing is likely to happen. Because normally when things happen like that, there are people who are sitting down just taking strategies on how to cheat the system by smuggling it across the neighboring countries, Burkina. And
so how do we block these loopholes?
So our contribution as Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana is we are launching a program called Fertilizer Watchdogs.
Okay.
So we've identified volunteers from all the border towns who agree to help us monitor the fertilizer movement.
So it will not be smuggled.
We will work with these people, we will work with the custom, we will work with the security to make sure that anybody who is carrying fertilizer across those borders within that period, the fertilizer is blocked. We do proper investigation to see whether it's part of the subsidized fertilizer before we allow it to go.
Okay.
But just like we said, fertilizer alone doesn't address the problem. Fertilizer goes with so many other things. As you was talking, it goes with seeds. The seed subsidy is only part of the Planting for Food and Jobs. It's not part of the main fertilizer subsidy program. So we are thinking that if you want farmers to actually benefit from the input, if you apply fertilizer on a bad seed, you are not still going to get the results you are looking for. So we think subsidy program itself should be complete.
Okay.
The complete should not just be limited to only fertilizer. We should look at seed and other agro inputs. We should even look at how can we reduce interest rate on loans so that farmers do not go to bank and take rate of 37%.
Okay.
Because you go to Ethiopia and other places, interest rate is 9 and then 7%.
That's Ethiopia.
That's Ethiopia.
This is Ghana.
So to me, I think if you want to actually get the results that we are looking for, the achievements we are looking for, we should look at other areas, including fertilizer. We shouldn't limit ourselves to only fertilizer.
Have you proposed to government before that distributing seeds also and subsidizing them maybe can help enhance our system?
Yes, I think this was tried around 2012, 2013, where seeds were subsidized. It had some challenges. But then, so now that's not part of this whole system. But I think we're looking at the percentages of the fertilizer that's been subsidized. And if you compare that to the price of seed, the price of seed is way low. It's probably nothing to write home about. I think what we need to do is to probably collaborate with people like your good selves to educate the farmers on even the need to invest in good quality seeds. That is lacking. As we sit here, there's been so much mistrust with even the seed that is churned out to farmers and the farmer safe seed. The farmers are always comfortable with their own safe seed because at least they are sure of germination, the viability and all of that. But then with the so-called improved seeds, of which I am a player, you know, there's always some challenges about that. It has to do with sometimes accessibility itself, the availability on time, and sometimes pricing is relative. Whichever one of these the farmer sees as a challenge, and so therefore they are still very comfortable with their own safe seed. And so I think that's why I am happy about the extension involvement in this whole thing, to be able to make the right advice with the good agronomic practices to farmers and to let them see the need to invest in good quality seed. Because if you don't invest in quality seed, no, even if they dash the fertilizer to you, you will not make anything. But still, farmers somehow don't appreciate the need for quality seed, because I think Ghana, we are so blessed. You can see maize growing in between concrete floors.
Everywhere.
Exactly. And then we are also privileged to have assorted foods all around. If it's not maize, it's rice. If it's not rice, it's plantain, cassava. We are blessed. That is why we can still see our neighboring countries like Burkina still now even way ahead of us in their seed production, because we don't seem to have invested very well in our seed systems, which is also a whole new area by itself. Okay, so I think we need education on that. We need to, the government with this program need to also establish demonstration farms for the farmers to be convinced that farmers are like seeing is believing.
Yes.
Okay, and by word of mouth from their fellow farmers. I'm an input dealer, but they will rarely buy my word. Okay,
because they know you just want to sell to them.
I'm a business person for Christ's sake, and so therefore they would want to see, okay, so this seed that you are holding, is this what is done by germination, and this how much the yields are? Immediately they will be prepared to invest in it. So I think the extension people, especially those who are coming on board, should equally try and with the assistance of government, of course, to establish more demonstration farms, like salad of them scattered all around, so that farmers in the catchments, in the various districts, the communities, will see at first hand what kind of seeds we are talking about.
Won't private participation help?
Because
if you are leaving everything on the shoulders of government, sometimes it becomes overwhelming. I know government should be able to do it, but as we wait for government, we are whiling away time. Can't we do something? I
think private people are doing a lot on that, because the whole seed system has been privatized since 1979. It's been privatized. So the government's role is regulation, seed certification, extension services, and the likes. So it's still in the hands of the private sector. But with this Advent program that government is trying to help, that's why I'm more interested in the extension bit, which is the government's role. Yes, so that needs to be strengthened in collaboration with the private sector to be able to establish more of these satellite demo farms, so that the farmers can really be convinced and to see the need to invest in good quality seeds. Before every other thing, I want our Ghanaian farmers to attach the same kind of importance to seed as
they attach to fertilizer and any other on the value chain. Okay. Charles, private sector role.
Yeah, I think I agree with
you. Are a private organization.
Yeah, I agree. You know, the private man is a profit person. Wherever there's profit, the private man wants to go in. So what are the challenges in the seed value chain that limits the participation of private persons? You know, in Ghana, climate change is a serious problem. And if you're a seed grower and you don't get regular rainfall, because our irrigation system is less than 2% of the entire cultivation land area. So we have few people who have access to irrigation facilities. So if you're a seed grower, you need to have regular supply of water. So creation of water, available water, private man will not go and dig a dam to grow seeds. That should be the role of government. So I think government should create the enabling environment for the private sector to come in. And gradually, it's an area that I've actually seen more interesting persons coming on board. Okay. And farmers gradually are also getting the information. They are getting to use to the to using good seeds. But we still have a challenge with the availability. We've done a research, we've done a survey on farmers' access to quality seed. And some of the issues that are coming up is that you go to some areas and the seeds that are sold to farmers purported to be improved seeds tend not to even be viable. They plant them and they don't germinate. It's happening. It's happening in
so who is doing this? Who is mixing the seeds and selling non-viable seeds?
Because we tried to set a training center in Tamale on soya. So what we did was to let the farmers themselves take hold of the project. They produce, and then we support them with all the modernized agriculture practices. Give them the improved soya seeds for them, support them with land preparation, with training and other things. The first year we bought the seed for them, there were some farmers who resisted taking the seeds that we bought for them and use their own seeds. Those who received the seeds from us, majority who planted the seeds never got a good germination. Oh. So the following year, all the farmers were saying that no, they'll prefer to use their own seeds. There are people in the system who are still not necessarily seed growers. They go and buy the grains, come and sort them out, and sell them as improved seeds to farmers. So these people, it's good NASDAQ are now in place, National Association of Seed Traders. They will be able to actually help us to weed out these people. So these are other challenges which are making farmers not to trust the improved seeds, and they prefer to use their own seeds. Okay,
so I'll let you react to that one and give me your concluding remarks on the planting for food and jobs.
All right. It's true. What Charles is saying is true. And so I think there's a lot of issues that inform a good seed and a bad seed. I think MOFA, there's a unit under MOFA, Ghana Seed Inspectorate Division. They are the regulators of seed production. Okay. And so they work with the breeders, those are the researchers, through to multiplication people and the certified seed producers, and make sure that everything that is required for certification, it's done appropriately before it's released to the seed producer, who also carries them to the outlets of input dealers. But then from there on, anything at all can happen. We don't have enough seed infrastructure, like the cold rooms. Seed, immediately they leave the processing centers, need to go to the cold room. Okay. With that ambient temperature.
To preserve it.
Exactly. Okay. Because seeds should always be dry to 13% moisture content. And this, right from the processing center, needs to go to the cold room. There isn't enough of those. Again, most seed producers don't have access to these facilities, don't also somehow are not willing to even invest in that aspect of the processes. So maybe they pick from the processing centers where they do drying, we do shelling, drying, cleaning, and then it should go to store you know, before it gets to the distributors. The distributors or these outlets don't also have the ambient atmosphere to keep
the seed the way it ought to be.
You know, these are small shops with poor ventilations and all of that. And so it can be there. And that could just be one small aspect of their investment. There is also the agrochemicals, even how to package them and all that. So there's a topic that we always try to address, that seed handling is always an issue. But then we also would encourage farmers to buy from registered dealers for traceability. Okay. And that is the Association of Ghana Agro-Input Dealers Association. They are there, and they are all lotted all over. The membership are there.
Are they in the hinterlands that the average farmer can access them?
That's another thing. That is another thing. Because of the seasonal nature of these agricultural inputs, business people are always very skeptical in where they put their monies.
It's true.
So they will not go and hire a shop and put up an outlet only for it to be shut down by 3 months and go back. So they are mostly in the capitals, they are mostly in some districts, but when it gets to the hinterlands, it becomes challenging. So we in the seed sector, or in NASDAQ, we are trying to see how best we can improve on our distribution systems to get these seeds. And this is being done, for instance, by ATTP. That's Agricultural Technology Transfer Project under the USAID in the northern sector. So some seed producers have been given freezing vans to carry these seeds along the remote areas. And I believe this thing should be replicated down south. It's not here yet, but that's how we need to do this. And it's also for traceability. Other than that, people will take advantage of the system. And because of the agricultural nature of this whole thing, people also take advantage of inputs. Now you go to Abosok and people selling spare parts, and they are selling seed, and they are selling agrochemicals.
Really?
They don't
what
even
has spare parts got to do with
agrochemicals? They find it lucrative. And they think because it has to do with farmers, anybody at all can go in. But our regulators are PPRSD and MOFA and EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. They are, and for instance, some of us in these national associations have tried to play some policing role. You may call EPA and says, look, there is an unregistered input dealer here, blah, 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 doing this, that. They say we are logistically handicapped. We can't even move. And so that's it. You go to Abobloshi, you find people spread mats on the floor, and they are selling weedicides and all of that. And these are chemicals. It's the same thing with seeds. They are spread in the sun. You go to KGTR, and they are not supposed to receive direct sunlight. Okay, so these are some of the challenges we all are battling with. And so that's why I call it a collective, but it takes a lot of education. And you, the media, I think you should do more to partner us, to be able to speak more to these issues and see how best we can all improve on it. Other than that, productivity is an issue, contamination, adulteration, and faking. We won't come to that yet.
Charles, let's conclude on the planting for food and jobs and all the challenges. So, in wrapping up, what do you think is a way forward? Because if the government is bent on carrying out this campaign, then it will happen. But what should we do?
What we should do is to move away from implementing the project in the offices and engage all key stakeholders. We are ready. As I speak, it doesn't mean we are away. We are also implementing part. We are doing the sorghum. We'll take the input, support the farmers they produce. We are going to engage Guinness Ghana. We are already in talk for them to buy the products from the farmers when we produce. So what we are calling on government is that we are all happy with the program, and we are ready to partner them to ensure that they get project success. But if they don't change from the current approach, it will not help anybody. Because fertilizer, if you are a farmer, maybe a Fianyente will tell you that if you grow a maize, for instance, 2 weeks' time, you need to do your first fertilizer application. And as we speak, southern part of the country and the middle belt,
the distribution
they are
is
growing,
delayed.
and the distribution is not there. So when are you now bringing these inputs for the farmers? We finished plowing. I went to plow my farm. Our members plowed their farms. They are waiting for the seeds. The seeds are not coming. So when are we bringing the seeds and the fertilizers?
But the seeds, they have to go and buy them.
No, planting
are
for,
we
planting
oh,
for
you are talking about those on the planting for food and jobs. Okay.
Planting for food and jobs. Government
is distributing the seeds.
Apart from engaging a group to supply the seed, they are also importing seeds. Those
because
seeds,
they couldn't meet the demand.
Because they couldn't meet the demand. Those seeds they place order for imports are not yet in.
Oh, okay.
Yet the season is up. So at the end of the day, we put money there. If care is not taken, these inputs will be in and the farmers will not take them. So to me, I think they need to actually, do more than the talking. The talking is more than the practice.
I think that was a planning problem.
Yeah.
Because if they had planned earlier,
then
they should have been here.
So what they needed to have done is to be moderate.
Okay.
Because the campaigning season is over. A lot of implementation. So you don't keep putting emphasis that you want to provide jobs for over 750,000 people within the first years.
So are you saying that is giving them pressure to do something that
pilot, just like Efeanyi said, they need to pilot, be moderate, and do just target some few farmers. If you get successes, the failures that will come will serve as lessons. In going forward, you will now expand, carry on board the lessons that you've learned, you improve on the failures, and I think when we do that, in going forward, agriculture will be able to lead this country to industrial nation.
Let's talk about seed production in Ghana. What are the key challenges we face with seed production in Ghana? Yes, for you.
Okay. I think they are primarily linkages.
Okay.
Because seed production is in 3 classes. That's from the breeder or the researchers, and then the multiplication wing, and then the private, and these 2 are public outfits. But then there is the certified one, which is done by the private people. And so this, I think the linkages along this value chain needs to be improved, even though there's been some improvements over the years regarding, for instance, the work that NVRRC do, the National Variety Release and Registration Committee, which is a direct technical wing under the Seed Council of Ghana. I think in there we have all the heads of the relevant institutions and then 4 slots for the private sector. And so that is good. And then when you get to the linkages issue comes especially from the farmer and the research. The farmer sits in here somewhere, even though some farmers are involved in the research bit right from the beginning. Not all farmers are in the know. And so there's a lot of work that our researchers have done over the years. And so this committee has sought to provide a catalog of all the seed varieties that have been released over the years. I remember last year when the book was launched, the seed varieties that had been released is about 169.
Okay.
And most of them are climate smart varieties.
Usually are they our staple foods?
They are everything.
Okay.
They are staples: maize, sorghum, cassava, all of those ones. Okay. And the vegetables, I must say, are very minimal there. That's an area we also need to critically look at. The exotics vegetables, we are not there at all.
Wow.
The cabbages, the lettuces, and all of them are imported.
So every seed we plant of that is imported?
It's imported. We are not there yet at all. And then even the local seeds, we are yet to even get our own tomato seed that's been, that should come from our research people. We tried some last year, but no, we couldn't meet it, so we so that's where we are. And then aside of that, the commercialization or the accessibility or the availability of the research finding. Like I said, the researcher does his own job. The variety committee goes to release and ensures its registration. It can go into the Ghana seed Gazette and all of that, even at the ECOWAS level, which we are still, we are working with. But still, the farmer may not know. The farmer may not know.
So it's one thing developing it, and then another thing getting to the farmer.
Getting it to the farmer, and so the adoption and adaptation. The adaptation is even factored in at the research level, because all these researches of a particular variety is done along particular ecologies around the country. And so during the release period, all of this information are shared with the committee. It was tried, for instance, maybe at Damango, it does better in Damango than Ejura. All of those information are spelled out and is cataloged. Okay, but then the farmer may not know. All right, during the research level, the farmers in that catchment can be brought on board and be part of the processes, but it may end there.
Over.
That's it. So to me, that's a key challenge. And then also educating the farmers to rid their minds of
wanting to use their own seeds. Any other thing that comes, they are skeptical about it.
They are, especially with this confusion of GMOs that I don't even want to mention here. But these are improved seeds that are locally done. So we are praying that education of these and linkages should be enhanced and fortified for the farmers to see that indeed these are seeds produced locally, and that the researchers are not there to kill their indigenous varieties. No, they are the same indigenous varieties that are picked and improved on for years. The minimum you can get for a research of a seed to be released is over 7 years. Some go as far as 12 years, and the researcher will be working on a particular seed. At the end of the day, it can just end on the shelves. Nobody picks it. It's not even acknowledged. And so that this is where we are.
Is it a matter of us not appreciating research, or what?
A bit of that, and also lack of information. They may not know. So now I think the media involvement is very, very critical. I remember the last meeting we had in Kumasi with these researchers. It's something that we are very, very passionate about. How do we get research findings to the farmer and to the Ghanaian public, for that matter? So it is something that we are all critically jojoing and looking at ways and means to make these seeds accessible and acceptable by farmers, and to rid their minds of GMOs, because that's not what we are talking about. We are talking about our locally produced seed varieties.
Because the pleasure I will get in knowing that I have researched into this, I came out with it, it is accepted, and the farmer is using it. That is what I look forward to getting anyway. So why are you not getting that? Are you not liaising with the institutions?
Yeah, we believe in participatory research. We don't believe in doing something and come and give it to us. And that has been the problem. Because our proposal for the seed sector to do well, and for the researchers to also get benefit or appreciation from farmers from what they've done, is for them from the onset try to get farmers' view on what is the problem. What kind of seed are you looking for? Is it a seed that is a drought resistant? A seed that comes with a particular taste? Is it a seed that is high yielding? If you involve the farmers from the beginning, and then when you start the process, you take them through in the field, the demonstration field, you let them have a feel of it. Not only the farmers, just as he's saying, the media. Take the media alongside. Don't wait until you come up with the final result, then you take it. If you do that, it will backfire. And I'm also thinking that the way the proponents, our proponents of GMOs, their approach has gone a long way to affect farmers' interest in taking improved seeds.
Okay.
Because when we started from the beginning, we said, look, we need to judge up. But if you say whether you like it or not, we are bringing GMO in, we will keep quiet. We will bring the GMO, we will make sure that no farmer buys it. As I speak to you, it's not a lie. Any seed that is given to any of our members, be it Upper West, Upper East, Volta, Western, they will call the secretariat. Say, Charles, these people have brought this seed.
Sure.
Are you sure it's not GMOs? There was a point. They call us that, I got a call from Kintampo. They said, oh, there are some seed, they said this in the Pana. So they brought it and then we told them they should take it back because it's GMO. You get the point. So when we were doing the campaign, campaigning for empowerment of our local seed growers, campaigning for uptake of open pollinated seed varieties and then the hybrid seeds, our opponents from the other side were kicking, oh, you are making noise. GMO is the way to go. And that's the results we are getting today. So to me, I think in going forward, it's not late. We are all in the game. We have just joined the National Association of Seed Growers, NASDAQ, as a member. We are going to work closely with them to see how we will send the findings of the seeds that they have to our members and encourage them to also take that. So we are now calling in the government to take out all the obstacles which make it difficult for private sector to participate in the seed production, so that they will be able to participate. When we do that, I think it won't be long. We'll be able to increase our production. After all, average yield per acre in Ghana is 3.5 metric tons of maize. You go to other places like Kenya, where they are even getting 9 metric tons per acre. Ethiopia, they are getting about 8 metric tons per acre. You go to South Africa, they are even getting more. You understand? So I think our production level is far, far, far below the average level that we are looking for. So if you're able to address these concerns, most farmers will actually participate in using the
before you go, do we have any GMO in the system in Ghana here?
Not at all. Not at all. I think that is a perception that needs to be corrected.
Okay.
We don't have GMOs at all. All these we are talking about were like something that was tattooed from the world and it got down here. Any seed that is imported into the country goes through properly laid structure, which be it MOFA. MOFA has all the units and directories that deal with seed imports. And so nobody like Pana, for instance, that they are talking about, they brought the germplasm through our researchers and through the appropriate courtesies, and it had been in the system for development for 7 to 8 years. Even that we granted them the certificate and the release last year. All right, so it's a wrong assumption that people are just bringing in seeds and so. And now I'm happy Charles mentioned that other African countries have high yields because they have feared the unknown, which is not GMO, but they are participating and patronizing their own locally improved varieties by their own researchers. But here, because the GMO went ahead of whatever
everything else,
everything is a GMO.
We think everything is GMO.
And that is not so. So our farmers should begin to reorient their minds with the help of all stakeholders, especially the private side. The government can't do it all, so that we are able to educate them and to let them know and rid their minds completely of GMO is not in the system. It's not.
At least not here for now.
At least not here for now. But we have hybrid seeds that some are done improved locally, and some are imported. Those are there. And if we want to see increase in productivity, this is the way to go. We can't continue to enjoy farmer-safe seed and expect the same high yields. It won't happen. Because we need to invest in quality seed that are improved upon, and that is slightly higher than what the farmer have saved over the years. Seed is like probably a woman giving birth. After a while, you grow weak. And so if you continue to replant your seed and replant, it loses its viability and strength. That is because seed is a living thing.
And that's the system most of our farmers are adopting and using. I see. So for now, there's no GMO in the system.
All.
Someone told me they have sneaked it into the country.
You can't even be sneaked in. As soon as you arrive at the airport, the phyto people, they are there. You can't, even if you need to bring in even a flower, a live plant from anywhere, it's not acceptable in Ghana. It's everywhere because there's soil infestation and all of that. So please.
So for all those who are thinking there's GMO already in the system and you are being careful of what you buy and what you eat, you are being assured, a stakeholder who knows the ins and outs, that there's no GMO in the system. So I've been speaking with Charles Nyaba and then Ifia Usinyantichi on planting for food and jobs, and then our seed growing and seed trading trends in Ghana, how we can improve yields so we can all benefit from the food we plant. Thank you.